Yes, I'm in my PJs, I know. But there's something I gotta share with you, and I've been struggling to figure it out. You ever have something stuck in your head that was kind of important, and pretty soon when you're doing your chores and your daily stuff, you can't remember what you're doing because you're thinking about this thing all the time. You gotta get it out of your head. Well, that's kind of what's going on with me. I got a story to tell, and it's a great story, and there's a great lesson in it. I'm gonna go take a shower, and we'll get started, okay? So this story is about Bruce, a stepfather of mine, a lovable kind of guy, and a bit of a con man. Good Lord, it's hot in here. Oh my God, it must be a million degrees in this truck and I can't find my keys. Put the windows down. Come on, put those windows down. Woo, hot. My mom used to call Bruce Pinocchio. She always said Bruce had a bit of trouble with the truth. Bruce's real talent was to get extremely wealthy people to invest in his latest venture. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but the problem was Bruce would tell whoppers, great big monster whoppers. So the story starts from my perspective. Some year in the mid-70s, my mom calls me up. She and her husband, Bruce, who had already been together, tried to start a freshwater shrimp farming business, and that kind of sank, and they broke up, and then they got back together, and now they're going to start down in the Clearwater area. And would I like to get in on the ground floor? Well, at the time, I had nothing really going on except sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and a lot of drinking. No, I don't do that anymore, but anyway, that was the time. And I'm like, sure, let's go to Florida. Sounds great. So then the adventure began. Now, I was aware of a long list of Bruce's various ventures and misadventures. Now, there was one, a lumber business of some sort in Brazil. I don't know what went wrong there. Then he went to Alaska to work on the pipeline. Well, back then the pipeline was a big deal. They were out there building this pipeline in Alaska, and oh my God, people were making money. So he went up there to make money. Well, while he's up there, got an idea about trapping fish, I believe it was. I don't know if it was a storm or the boat sank. Something went wrong, as always. And that was the end of that venture. Now, I believe that when Bruce first met my mom, he had got the rights or the studies about freshwater shrimp farming. So they set off for the Caribbean. After pursuing numerous investors, gathering up a pile of cash to start the freshwater shrimp business, they start going all over the Caribbean looking for places to build freshwater shrimp ponds. But they were running out of money by now. They had a boat that would go out and catch the fish that they were going to feed the shrimp. My mom would take the bigger fish and go around the restaurants to the chefs and sell them fish that they caught so they could raise money so that they could pay their rent and that sort of thing while they kept building the ponds. Well, that one went under when a gigantic tanker ran over their fishing boat and sank it, and they didn't have a penny to their name, and they had to leave whatever country that was in the middle of the night, and there went that business. Oh my God, there's a big gray bird over here. I gotta take a picture. Hold on just a second. I think I've mentioned this before, but I can't stand just walking around, just walking to be walking. So I always take a camera, and I like to go places where I can take some pictures. And that was a picture of a pretty nice bird. Bruce and my mom sort of broke up. She'd kind of had it by then. She'd had her fill of adventures, to say the least. But somehow they got back together, called me up. Hey, you want to go to Florida? Man, that sounds good, so I'm on my way. So we end up in the Clearwater area. Bruce has got his new investors for his sandcastle toy business, and we all actually worked pretty hard on that one. spent many, many months putting that together, getting the mold, building the toys, getting the packaging, the whole 9 yards, but it fell apart. I can't remember the reasons. I'm pretty sure that he got caught in some of his lies, and once that starts to happen, investors tend to lose confidence in you over that kind of stuff. There was another split up, and then years, I don't know, a year or two later, I can't really remember, Bruce is back, and he's doing some kind of agricultural supplement thing that he finagled the rights to for Florida. That never really did get much off the ground there. After that, he and my mom broke up, and I never really heard much about Bruce after that. It's kind of sad, really. The thing about Bruce was, you somehow always felt better around him. He just made you feel good. He was interested in you. He was appreciative of his surroundings. He was sort of like the Mr. Rogers of con men. Though Mr. Rogers was obviously a very truthful and honest and loving man and didn't do any conning, but
Mr. Rogers was important because he loved everybody, and he loved everybody the way that they are, and nobody needed to change to feel loved. And that is a unique concept in our society, on the planet, in the world. And it's one that we all would be much better off if we adopted. I love Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers thought I was special. I don't know about you or anybody else. I was in front of the TV and I saw him talking directly to me. Not you.
No, he was talking.
Not anybody else.
He was talking directly to me too. He said, I like you just the way you are.
You were not in the room at the time. He was looking at me when he said all those things.
Was he? Didn't it help you feel better about yourself?
Yes.
Good. See?
But it was all about me.
Everything's
like
always
everything
all
else.
about you.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm glad you figured that out. I have to say, I call Bruce a con man, but I never saw Bruce take money from people for nothing. He would flim-flam his way into getting people to invest with him. You'd be with Bruce, you'd walk out the door, Bruce would go, "You smell that air, buddy? Man, it's great to live in Florida. What a great day." And that's the way the day would go with Bruce. There would be one after another positive reinforcements. Isn't life grand and wonderful? After about a half a day of that, you're going, yeah, man, things are great. What a beautiful day. I'm digging this. Bruce would couple that with taking a great interest in you, too. So you always felt good being around Bruce, and that was his superpower. And here's a super interesting little thing that some of you are going to feel like, oh my God, and your eyes are going to roll. You know, he's probably dead by now. My mom died 10 years ago. I think he might have been older than her at the time, so he'd be in his 90s, and his health wasn't good 40 years ago. Jeez, how long was that? So I'm sure he has passed on, and I won't use his last name, but it is pretty interesting, which is Diane had a friend who's a psychic that was doing some psychic type stuff with her. And here's the thing about this whole thing about Bruce. There is nothing written about what I just told all y'all. There's no video evidence. Nobody but people in the family know anything about Bruce. It's not like you could research my mom's life. You couldn't, and you would never know what he was like, who he was. There's nothing there. So she's seen the psychic, and through, what did you say, Bruce?
He said, "Who's Bruce?" And I said, "Bruce?" And I said, "Oh," I said, "that's my husband's mother's ex-husband."
There you go.
And he started coming through, and he said that he had a great time being a pathological liar, but he didn't mean to hurt people, and he was sorry about that, but he wanted to say that he loved Randy. So he has to be crossed over. He couldn't have come through to my friend Jerry.
Yeah. Interesting.
Isn't that interesting? That just blew me away, because I never met Bruce, but I have heard stories about him ever since I met Randy and his mother. I mean, because Bruce was such a character. But I've never talked to him about him to anybody. I mean, why would I, you know? He said he always liked you and that he loved Randy. He said, I always liked Randy and I loved Randy. Oh, that you shouldn't take things so seriously?
What did he say? I was too intellectual or something?
Oh, no, you were too smart for your own good or something. Now I can't remember.
I thought it was intellectual, which I thought was weird.
Oh, maybe yeah.
You believe that? Does this look intellectual to you? I'm thinking not, really. Now, Bruce told a lot of whoppers. I remember one was he told everybody he played for some pro football team. I believe that was one of the ones that, when it got discovered, sank one of his businesses. I can't remember. And then he used to tell all these other tales. He used to tell my mom all the time about his brother who he lost in the war. Bruce said he was in the paratroopers in World War II on the whole Bridge Too Far thing. He was captivated with that movie. And that he had parachuted in near one of those bridges and got one of his testicles shot off. Now, that may have been true because I know he talked about that in front of my mom and she would know, at least as far as that goes. And then, of course, his brother he lost in the war, he would talk about him. I think for my mom, it became really concrete when she decided she'd write his parents in Mississippi. So she wrote him and told him about Bruce and about how he missed his brother and so forth and so on. And she got a very polite letter back saying, Bruce never had a brother and he's never been the same since the war. I guess in a way that's kind of sad. If you'd known Bruce, you'd never associate the word sad and Bruce together. Bruce could have been a multimillionaire, just doing anything. He could have sold used cars, could have sold insurance. Just his charisma and his ability to captivate people, he would have been success in anything he did. I don't know what it was, he had to fib. One of Bruce's talents was he was a great artist. I mean, a really good artist. Now, if he'd have just said that, I'd have had to go, well, maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But he told us he had gotten a commission to do a series of drawings of horses from a cigar company in Tampa to put on cigar wrappers. And lo and behold, he sat down and he drew these horses, and they are beautiful. Also a pelican, that I still have the two horses and the pelican pictures. And I watched him draw them, so the man was talented. He said he had been to a famous art school up in the Northeast. Knowing Bruce, maybe that was true, maybe not. But he could draw. There's no doubt about it. The man was talented. So the lesson I learned from Bruce that I think applies to everybody is try to spread some cheer in the world. It needs it. Appreciate what's around you. Be grateful for what you got, not what you don't have. Take an interest in other people. It makes them feel good. It makes them like you. It creates a bond between you. That's invaluable. And that's something that the world needs more of. And thank you, Bruce, for being such a great example of that. Signing off.